RiseAbsorb is redefining what growers expect from phosphate fertilizer. Backed by data and built for performance, RiseAbsorb helps reduce phosphorus losses, improve uptake, and boost ROI without increasing input costs. Join the next wave of growers switching to the next generation of phosphorus fertilizers by visiting phospholutions.com.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Friday. Thanks so much for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your workday. Also, of course, big shout out to everybody listening out there on the RealAg Radio Podcast, as I always say. And we will have a bonus segment today with our RealAg Issues Panel made up of myself, Kelvin Heppner, and Lyndsey Smith, all of Real Agriculture. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, it is Go Jays Go today. Game 6 tonight. Yes, this is a big one. And hopefully, please don't let Game 7 be needed. We really, really need to win in Game 6, although Yamamoto pitching against Gossman, tough matchup, but I guess Game 7 will be Scherzer if we got to go with the 41-year-old starter. It's going to be a big weekend for Blue Jays fans indeed. Toronto's got to win something. Like the Leafs, they're never going to come through, so you might as well cheer for the Jays. Okay, today we got to talk about that Trump meeting with President Xi, as well as Prime Minister Carney also met with the Chinese leader. We've got Sask Crops and APAS asking for more transparency and data when it comes to weekly export deliveries. We'll talk about that. The Canadian Center for Food Integrity is out with some new data in terms of consumers are trusting farmers and their food more than they were a year ago. What's up with that? All of this and a whole lot more. Now, if you have any feedback on today's show, we'd love to hear from you. You can send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. You can also call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. You can also text that number as well, 855-776-6147. You can also find Real Agriculture across all the different social media platforms. There's TikTok and YouTube and X and Facebook and Instagram and whatever else, wherever else you are. We are there to try to provide as much information and content for you as possible. Encourage you over the weekend to check out realagriculture.com and our YouTube channel, as well as we're always putting up a lot of the content from this show and other interviews we're doing throughout the week. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. And then we're going to get to the RealAg Issues Panel. We're talking Blue Jays baseball and a few ag issues as well.
I'm Lyndsey Smith, and joining me now for this product spotlight, it's Tyler Gullen, Technical Services Manager with New Farm.
We just received registration for a new soil active herbicide, Valterra cereals. Really nice option that growers can spray in the fall just before it freeze up, or else in the spring once that snow melts too. I think to me there's three main benefits to those soil actives. Firstly, you get that residual weed control. You can catch that first flush of weeds in the spring, kill them off before you go and seed, and that can lead to cleaner fields, getting that crop off to a great start, and really keep more of that moisture and nutrients available to that crop. The second benefit is as a resistant management tool. It's kind of your one shot in the year to mix up that routine that those weeds like and really get ahead of those weeds and that resistance. The third reason is just full flexibility, and you can apply these in the fall once harvest is wrapped up and things slow down on the farm a little bit. So you don't have to drag that sprayer out as early that crazy spring seeding season. You don't really have to rush back out as if you would if you didn't have those residuals. You can visit our website at newfarm.ca. Definitely if you're kind of for Agritrade, November 5th to 7th, come chat with us at that booth. It's 418 in the Prairie Pavilion.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other Real Ag personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture. Let's get going with the RealAg Issues Panel. But first, time is running out if you don't act. Okay, you don't act today. Today, everybody. Your canola savings for next year will be gone if you don't act now. Save up to $75 per bag on canola with DeKalb Harvest Rewards, but only until October 31st, which is, again, today, Halloween, the day the Blue Jays win Game 6 and take home the World Series for the first time since the early 90s. Visit DeKalbRewards.ca for details. Okay, let's bring in the RealAg Issues panel. Up first, coming out of Ottawa, Ontario, and such a gracious person to fill in this host seat while I was away. Lyndsey Smith, how are we doing?
We're doing well. I feel like we are going to slide in a reference to the Jays at every opportunity.
Every moment we can.
Every single one.
Every
moment. There you go. Yeah. And I appreciate everyone's Blue Jays gear. Could not find my jersey, so I'm at least wearing Blue Jays blue.
You can even find some Expos gear you had stocked away somewhere.
I did not have any Expos gear. Although I did learn through this run to the World Series that there are a lot of Expo fans that are like still hurting and will not cheer for the Jays.
Yeah, encourage everybody to check out on Netflix a new documentary about Montreal Expos leaving Montreal. Very good. I've watched the first half of it. I haven't finished it yet, but maybe that'll be this weekend's project.
There you go.
Dealing with a bit of a headache after World Series victory. Also joining us is Kelvin Heppner, coming out of a wet Altona, Manitoba. How are we doing today, Kelvin?
Doing well here, Shaun, and yeah, looking forward to Game 6 tonight. And it's been a lot of fun the last month or two here cheering on the Jays, and as so many people joining in on the celebration, setting records in terms of TV broadcast viewership, and it's just I find this team a lot of fun to cheer for in terms of the personalities and everybody on the team as well. So it's however it ends up, either tonight or tomorrow. It's been a good ride here.
It's been interesting watching or listening to Dan Schulman, Blue Jays play-by-play guy on Sportsnet, have to explain baseball to a lot of the bandwagon that has come on here in terms of some of the rules and things like that. The numbers tonight, and hopefully not Game 7, but if there is a Game 7, the ratings are going to be epic. I would think over half the country will be tuning in and watching. So, but yeah, was it a big step, Kelvin, to get back on the bandwagon after you were off for part
after March?
I've only been on the bandwagon since before they last won the World Series. So
I know, I'll just give you
sure. My expectations at the start of the year, I believe we went back and it was late March. Allegedly. The Jays' first game of the season after that Friday.
Yeah.
Technically, I said it would be a long season. So
you're actually 100% correct.
That's where I was kind of right, but the rest of my prediction, no, I wasn't. And I don't know. I don't think I was the only one. You had a poor offseason. Their big offseason acquisitions were Anthony Santander and Miles Straw. And then you signed Vladdy, who had kind of a checkered last couple seasons in terms of his performance to this massive deal. Sure, everything's gone right since then, though, and it's been a lot of fun, and we'll see. Tonight is Game 6, and Lyndsey, what was the prediction last week? I think we said Jays in 6.
You said Jays in 6. And in March, he said it's going to be a long season. So you put those two together, and Kelvin is batting 1,000, everybody.
You're so
deeper than that.
So close yet so far away, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's the issue here. Is that the fourth one is the hardest one to win. So we will. I couldn't imagine what it'll be like from an atmosphere standpoint in that stadium tonight. They're going to literally blow the roof off of it. Okay, let's get to some of the ag issues. We will, I'm sure, weave in as much Blue Jay talk as we possibly can. As I'm someone that's still waiting for ESPN to call to take me out of the host seat. Mm-hmm. So I got to pretend as much as I can. Lyndsey, you went to a CFA reception. You were networking amongst all of the mucky mucks in the nation's capital.
That's correct. And you know what, everybody out there, we really appreciate getting invited to these things. We can't always make it. But I do live very close to downtown Ottawa, so it's a little bit sad that I don't go to more of these. But please keep the invites coming. I will make it when I can. But it was lovely to be invited to the CFA reception earlier this week. Of course, it was their Hill Day this week, so everyone in town meeting with senators, MPs, you name it. And it was really great to see people that had traveled from afar all over Canada, and really neat to sort of talk to how people are feeling in some of these meetings with some of these, with senators, MPs, et cetera, and sort of what's important for the government right now and what the focus is. Of course, it's an opportunity for anyone who's meeting to share, maybe what's on their mind or what they're concerned about. And so I mean, fantastic to see everybody, but more importantly, I think in talking to a few people there, it was really abundantly clear from the government's perspective that cutting red tape is a priority, but it's not just, hey, cut some red tape. It's very specific. Like, bring us a part of a rule or a legislation, bring it to us, tell us why it doesn't work, give us a business case, tell us what you'd like to see, like bring the solution forward. And that there was a pretty short window to do some of these things because at some point procedure takes over, right? So when the government wants to change things, there is a procedure that ends up having to happen, and that takes time. So it's sort of like shoehorn as much as this in as you can at the start, and we'll see what we can get done. So yeah, it was kind of neat to hear what some people's suggestions were and where they want to see things, but it definitely seems to be the sort of theme of the week anyway.
Frustration from people that they're not seeing as much action, or these things aren't deep enough up until this point when it comes to regulation, or what how would you describe that?
So I don't know if I didn't get a sense of frustration yet per se. But definitely I think there was a sense of like still getting a lot of people up to speed. So it still feels like there's quite a bit of a gap to sort of cross here to actually get a lot of the people in some of these positions actually, on the same page as far as where agriculture is struggling, where we want to see some action, so there was a sense of like, there's still quite a bit of ground to cover when it comes to getting some people sort of up to speed. So that for sure. And of course, all of this is in the face of, and it wasn't mentioned a lot, but we've got a budget next week, and that is creating all sorts of political wrangling that may sort of blow all of this up anyway. So
Kelvin, I guess with that budget next week, what's your expectation? Like, what are you, like, if there was a money line on this, what are you betting we're going to see? And what are you watching out for?
Oh, I think it's being set up thanks to the campaign that Mark Carney and the Liberals ran in the federal election back in spring, and all of their rhetoric since then. It's being set up as to be the most consequential budget that Canada's had since, well, not quite since the Blue Jays were last in the World Series, but since 1995, I would say, since Paul Martin was the finance minister and introduced a budget with a bunch of cuts. And I think that's what they have set this up to be in terms of rescuing the Canadian economy, turning the ship, and this budget. There's been a lot of big talk about nation building and getting dependency off of exports to the U.S. in terms of our economy and that type of thing. At the same time, talks about reducing the deficit or at least reining it in terms of the growth of the deficit. And so I think if I'm taking the over-under on that, I'm still taking the under. I think it will be underwhelming if that's your expectation, but there's been a lot of big promises made and a lot riding on this budget as kind of the big milestone where the government will actually follow through on the promises that have been made, and I'm not sure that they will be able to, especially keep everybody happy. There's talk, the union's warning about 70,000 public servants potentially being let go as part of the budget. We saw the environment minister this week say that the budget will include Mark Carney's climate competitiveness plan in the budget. We've heard Agriculture Minister Heath MacDonald talk about a scrub of agricultural programming on our website in terms of the interview we had with him a couple of weeks ago. So I think there could be a lot of stuff coming out of this budget. Whether it meets the expectations that have been set, I'm not sure it will completely achieve that.
So for both of you, before we take a break here, is one of the results of the budget being presented next week, does it push us to an election? What do you think, Kelvin?
Potentially, because right now the Liberals are still a minority by 3 seats, and they do not have any other parties saying that they will endorse it for sure or support it. Of course, the other parties are trying to gain maximum leverage here, and so we'll see. But that's where the talk about floor crossings comes from. The Green Party will likely support it. It seems like the Bloc in Quebec might be the most likely to get the budget over the line. But yeah, there is certainly a chance of an election here before the end of the year.
Thought, Lyndsey?
I'm gonna say no because Kelvin said yes, for all the aforementioned reasons. Just kidding. No, I am saying no because nobody wants it, and it is the Liberals do need to get enough votes to get it across, and I think they will. But I mean, in all seriousness, it is entirely possible it does not. So
The NDP doesn't have a
I'm going to
leader.
say it does.
Like the NDP doesn't.
They have an interim leader.
Oh, well.
NDP has
No,
nothing
it's
to
true.
lose either,
The
though.
NDP,
So,
exactly. The
Well, and no
NDP
money.
Yeah.
So it's like they're like a
Yeah.
empty basket.
Yeah.
question of whether, and
yeah.
I'm not sure any of the Conservatives are willing to. I think behind the scenes there will be Conservative MPs that would be okay with voting on it, or at least abstaining maybe from a vote, and that might be
Yeah.
something that we see if there's abstentions in terms of voting, not voting against it. But the Bloc there's probably some trade-off that the Liberals can make that will sway the Bloc over to voting for it.
And
So I say no.
the timing is so critical here right now for a lot of things that Canada has to do. I'll for one have been very frustrated by our lack of action. I'm not sure an election super good and timely right now.
No.
But maybe Carney feels, I want a majority to get all these things done that I need to get done, and if the Liberals feel they can get 3 more seats, then he's got a majority and a clear path to getting some of those things done.
Do you present a budget that you know will not get approved to force an election so that you can then get a majority?
Mm-hmm. So this is, and I mean, this week, this is what we have been like reading and listening to and discussing and whatever, is that like you could argue it either way. And I understand, obviously, the majority territory means that exactly that, like to Kelvin's point, you can actually get the things done you want to get done. At the same time, like a minority parliament can still get things done. You just have to get things done in cooperation. And can we not go to an election, please? We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got to take a break. Mm-hmm. We've got more of the RealAg Issues panel coming up. Kelvin's going to analyze Davis Schneider's mustache and more. We come back right after this. Built on over 100 years of seed innovation and unwavering commitment to farmers, Pioneer 100 Series canola hybrids deliver a step change in yield performance and agronomic traits. This isn't just better canola, it's different canola. Pioneer 100 Series. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative or visit pioneer.com/100 series to learn more today.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
RealAg Radio is Canada's only daily radio show focused on agriculture. Get expert advice on Agronomic Monday. Tuesdays and Wednesdays will cover a broad range of issues. Thursday we'll hear from farmers across the country on the Farmer Rapid Fire. And we'll wrap things up Fridays with the RealAg Issues Panel with Kelvin Heppner and Lyndsey Smith. Join us Monday through Friday at 4:30 Eastern. And don't forget about the replay at 7 in the morning on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. We are back here on RealAg Radio. Shaun Haney, Kelvin Heppner, Lyndsey Smith, all of RealAgriculture. Hey, are you ready to make more confident decisions on the farm? I know Lyndsey is. Our precision agronomists and financial experts provide tailored recommendations that align field performance with your business goals and deliver real financial results. Success starts in the soil. Book your appointment today at mmp.ca. Lyndsey, I was giving Kelvin a hard time about the bandwagon. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, I mentioned also all the new viewers of baseball and Dan Schulman having to go through that. I have the privilege of having to educate Tyler McCann on WhatsApp about baseball. That is exhausting.
What I'm really enjoying is that Tyler is using ChatGPT to generate interesting things to say about this series, and it's really entertaining. Anyway,
I have another friend that's doing the same.
Really?
So he's not alone. Not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, big week in South Korea this week. Let's start with Prime Minister Mark Carney. 24 hours after the Trump-Xi meeting, Carney sat down, a little bit shorter meeting than Trump got, and tried to create a little bit of a calmer relationship between Canada and China. Kelvin, what do you make of what came out of the readout?
I think we're back to kind of the mid-2015s, maybe even earlier than that, the 2010 timeframe relationship between Canada or China, or on a trajectory to that point. This is sure it was a shorter meeting than Trump got, but this was the first meeting that Canada's Prime Minister has had with the President of China in 8 years, I believe, since before the Meng Wanzhou Huawei CFO thing and everything that happened there with canola and the two Michaels and
kidnapping caper. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so certainly warming up, and Prime Minister Carney used the term turning point several times in his media scrum and in the release from the Prime Minister's office, calling this a turning point. There were no immediate measures in terms of tariff relief decisions coming out of this meeting. So if we were hoping for that didn't happen, but it sure seems like things are warming up. And I think the U.S.-Canada relationship and what's happened on that front again lately is certainly creating room and pressure for the Carney government to try to find more alignment again with China in terms of market access and trade potential and that type of thing, trying to diversify Canada's export markets.
Lyndsey, what was your, I guess, reaction to what we heard in terms of what was discussed and how the Canadian government described it?
So, I mean, I think it's sort of a very on-brand sort of outcome of this meeting, especially when you look at it against, the Trump-Xi meeting, and sort of the outcome of that one where, it was a 12 out of 10 according to Trump, and it was amazing. And we get, from the Canadian meeting, a much more subdued, much more, positive messaging. I think it's good. I think it's been since 2019 since there's been a prime minister meeting in China. So or with China. So that is a huge step forward. And that it went well. The readout does say that both leaders directed their officials to move quickly to resolve outstanding trade issues and irritants. So as much as we didn't get a big announcement, it does at least feel like there is, some forward momentum potentially. What that actually ends up being will be, of course, the most important part of this. But I think overall, many people, especially in Western Canada, have been, calling for the Prime Minister to go and to meet with China, and he did, and in relatively short order. Now we wait, I guess, and time is of the essence. I mean, we've got certainly the canola tariffs are an issue. The pulse tariffs became even more of an issue this week, as we saw India put tariffs back on Canadian peas. So, it's positive, but we don't have a lot of time here. We need to be moving forward. And, yes, the states got a bit of at least recognition of what will happen going forward. And Canada got hey, we're going to work on it. So it's good. Could be better.
Yeah. Time is of the essence, sort of like what Dodger fans are saying about their offense. I guess at the end of the day, both countries are, farmers would probably kind of fall into the same sort of boat, I think, in terms of time is of the essence, and I want to see an outcome, right? So, although the messaging was different, I think I think it's positive. It was a positive week for both countries in relation to China. I think so, and I think different market analysts and traders that I've talked to this week, they're in the same kind of boat where they're like, okay, yeah, this is good from a U.S. perspective. There's 25 million metric tons that's getting back to more of a sense of normal, because we were on our way. We had been zero and trending that way for the past couple of years. But I want to see those ships move. I want to see those orders made. And I think Canadian farmers are a little bit in the realm of, okay, great, but get working on it. This can't be something 12 months from now still dealing with. I'll give a bit of a sneak on a piece of data before I go to you, Kelvin. Is 68% of Canadian farmers, according to our Canadian Farmer Sentiment Index research this past week, 68% of Canadian farmers believe those EV tariffs should be lifted. Kelvin, over to you.
I would have thought it might have actually been a higher number than that. I was going to say this is on a trajectory to be resolved, though, right now. This is the way problems work with government. Somebody has to raise awareness of something, and sure, we're all frustrated that awareness hasn't reached the top level quicker than this has. But the Agriculture Minister, Heath MacDonald, going on a trip to China this week as well. He's in China as we speak on a trip that was unannounced before, or with very little notice before he left. And then the Prime Minister bringing it up, and canola being specifically mentioned in the readout coming out of the meeting with President Xi, shows this has reached the highest levels now, and that is a sign of movement, I think, in terms of that's the last step before resolution, in terms of these are the people that are going to have to make that decision, to go with the quote from Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe a couple months ago, that this will have to be made at the highest level, political level, because it's a political move from both countries.
Timing is everything, sort of like in game one when Barger hit that grand slam. Is right now,
after sleeping on Davis Schneider's couch
that is
the night
true.
before.
So maybe Mark Carney should try that. That might lead. That clearly leads to some success.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Is right. Okay, so based on what happened this week, U.S. is they're thinking more positively about China. The China hawks have been sort of pushed outside of the Oval Office for the time being. Would the timing be right for Carney to lift those EV tariffs now? Would the repercussions be less? What do you think?
There's more of a window right now than there has been in a long time.
Yeah. I wonder that.
I mean, we have to remember what's happening here at home too, right? We've got, these EV tariffs are to, or were put in place in solidarity with the U.S. partially, but with the sort of discussion that this was in somehow solidarity with our own auto industry. The auto industry right now is squarely in the sights of the U.S. and is in dire straits right now. I do think there is, if you're careful in how you craft the message, there's an opportunity in actually lifting these and making it in a way that could be a win for Carney for sure, and potentially could be a win, for agriculture, obviously, if, as China has alluded to, if we do that, we will get these tariffs lifted. So I agree with Kelvin. I think right now, perhaps, really this is the only time that it seems like it could actually work and not be hugely negative.
Because the door may close again. Like
that's true.
Right now, Fortress North America is sort of like there's a crack. The drawbridge is down. Mm-hmm. The timing may be right because in 3 weeks it may not be. So sorry, Kelvin.
And given some of the messaging and rhetoric coming from the White House lately, polling in Canada right now again shows that people are not happy with how friendly Carney has been with Trump. They want more elbows up right now. So politically, it would be a popular move.
I know,
I'm not saying it's the right move or the best move for the economy or our country in the long term, but politically, that's what people are asking for right now.
I said earlier this week in the news segment, so if you listen to the RealAg Radio podcast version, you've heard me say this. Premier, my request is Premier Ford, zip it. I feel like he has fallen off the Canadian wagon this week. So,
yes, I mean, at the same time,
U.S. ambassador said something like that in not so kind words this week.
Yeah, but he is making Carney's job incredibly tougher here.
Yeah,
like he is not helping. He's helping himself. And I know you guys talked about this last week on the show, and I appreciate you bringing it up. If this was Danielle Smith in Alberta saying the exact same things that Ford has been saying, totally different coverage. And that's, I'm showing my Alberta bias, but not helping.
So no. And now at the same time, as a premier, his most important thing, and yes, he'll say Team Canada and all that sort of stuff, but I mean, for Ontario, the auto industry is, again, it is in a very scary predicament here. And as premier, he needs to show that he supports it. I mean, that's all there is to it. Now, has he gone about it the right way? I don't know about that. And is he making Carney's job way harder? Absolutely. But I mean, when we look at sort of the winners and losers out of all of this, Canada's auto industry is most likely going to be one of the biggest losers in all of this trade war stuff. So,
yeah.
It's already happening. We saw it from Tiff Macklem of the Bank of Canada this week too, talking about Canada's manufacturing capacity is already being hurt by all of this.
General trend, the larger the farm, the more likely you are to want Canada to lift those EV tariffs. Mm-hmm. And I will pull up the East-West. So there is a difference between East and West, which we should expect because of where the auto sector is located, okay? And connection to family working the auto sector and things like that.
And canola, remember. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, 100%. Western Canada, 78% saying lift the tariffs. Mm-hmm. Eastern Canada, 48%.
Yeah.
So that's where the that's the difference between the two regions. Not to make a East-West fight here, but just that's how it does break out, so you understand kind of where everyone's coming from. Hey, let's take a break. We've got more coming up here on the RealAg Issues Panel right after
this. Ever hear that good things come to those who wait? Well, we think it's more like great rewards come to those who book their Invigor hybrid canola early. Through the Invigor Book and Buy Grower Program, you could earn a $30 per bag rebate when you book all your Invigor needs by November 14th. Speak with your local retailer about eligible hybrids. Terms and conditions apply. Book early. Come out ahead.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word, absolutely the best part of my day.
You know, it's not just Dan Schulman and Buck Martinez giving great analysis. CAPI does the same thing, but just in ag policy. The Canadian Agri-Food Policy Institute is driving bold policy solutions for a resilient Canadian agri-food system and building stronger future for Canadian agriculture. Visit capi-icpa.com to discover how. Okay, let's keep rolling here. And we did mention it a little bit earlier, last segment, talking about India. Unfortunate news, Kelvin. Lyndsey had done an interview the prior week with Greg Sherwick from Pulse Canada. The potential was out there for India to reapply 30% tariff on Canadian peas, and it looks like it is happening.
Yeah, they've applied a 30% tariff after several years of sort of temporary exemptions and extensions to that exemption from a 50% tariff that was on Canadian peas. So, yeah, hammering the crop that already has a 100% tariff going into China since March. So something like 70%, 80% of Canada's peas, I believe, go to those two countries, China and India. So now facing steep, significant tariffs into both those markets. So not great news for peas that are in the bin here heading into winter.
Yeah. Lyndsey, sorry, go ahead. Go.
Well, I was just going to say, and also this is, for context, this is a little bit more on the scale of like doing business with India. So unlike, tariffs with the US or unlike what we're dealing with China, India is a country that, really uses tariffs to sort of manage its domestic market, its prices for farmers, also its food prices. So this isn't, a surprise or necessarily sort of, unheard of, because there were rumblings that this could potentially be happening just based on what was happening on the ground in India. However, I think the tougher part here is, as Kelvin said, I mean, this is at the same time that yellow peas can't really move into China directly because they're facing a huge tariff. So it is sort of insult to injury, and definitely, when we look at those numbers from the CFSI about, whether EV tariffs should be lifted, canola, yes, has taken up a lot of the spotlight, but pulses are also in there, hog sector impacted as well. So like there are other pieces of this that are also hurting because of these EV tariffs. So, yeah, go ahead, Kelvin.
You go back to 2017 when India first imposed the 50% duty on peas from Canada. China stepped up and filled a lot of that demand. That grew the Chinese market like crazy. And now here we have the tariffs back on China and India at the same time. And so going into both those countries at the same time. And so, there's a lot of peas that need a home. and certainly prices are reflecting that now.
And
sort of like when Santander's bats never come around. Ernie Clement's been right there to backfill at third.
Exactly.
ESPN, please just call him so he can stop. But also, but like Greg sort of, and in that interview, talked about like building that Chinese market, that like we use peas for protein usually, and China would use the peas for their starch. And, Pulse Canada and Canada has done a lot of work to get China to use the protein, which is their byproduct, in their livestock markets. And those, like, there's a lot of work that went into building the Chinese market for Canadian peas. And so it is sort of like they were the country that would come in and buy, vast amounts of peas when India would not. And now we're shut out of both. So it's definitely not good news.
Of the three main trading partners, Lyndsey, you were talking about how India is different. I think this is the hardest one to fix. You're really the most out of Canada's control to try to remove the tariffs. It is different than China. It is different than for sure the U.S. It is what it is. It's kind of thing.
And to further add salt to the wound here, this is less than 2 weeks after Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand met with Modi in India, and there was a warming up of diplomatic relations again, and diplomats from both countries being sent back and that type of thing. So there was real optimism about the Canada-India relationship just 2 weeks ago, and here the India government comes out and slaps this duty on, or the Ministry of Finance slaps this duty on as of November 1st.
So, I mean, there's still potential, like that relationship though with India does open up potential for other markets with Canada. We send a lot of potash there. We send a lot of like oil and petroleum products there. So from the agriculture perspective, at least from the commodity perspective, maybe not as positive, but there are other reasons that we're happy, right? That Canada and India are talking again, and longer term, when India needs pulses again, they will likely lift these tariffs. But you're right, it's a different beast.
I encourage
there are diplomatic channels now to help figure that
out.
I encourage everybody to go back, and I did an interview with Jacob Shapiro from Bespoke Group probably like 2 years ago, where the whole episode was all about the politics of India, and I learned a ton in there. We should share that again for people. It is it is very, very complicated, which sounds like an excuse, but Modi needs to support farmers. And one of the ways to keep up that support is actions like this. Another piece of action that we saw this week was Sask Crops, which is the crop commissions in Saskatchewan working together, similar to what we hear in Alberta, like Team Alberta. So Sask Crops and APAS put out a joint release about the push, the need, and this is from resolutions from some of those meetings, their annual meetings the past couple of years, pushing for Canada to have more export-like reporting similar to the EU and the US. So, we get a ton more data on weekly export reports out of the US, Kelvin, than we will ever see in Canada currently. Obviously, the government shutdown. Government shutdown's not helping. Usually, typically, non-shutdown times. What's your thoughts on this push?
I think it makes a lot of sense. They're talking about, based on a study done by Marlene Barish and her group at Mercantile Consulting, they're talking about $57 million annually in returns for Canadian grain farmers through improved information and better basis understanding and that type of thing. So grain companies, the industry may not appreciate this type of export sales reporting, but more data to me always helps the smallest players in the market, and in many cases that's farmers, and so I'm a fan of having more export sales reporting. This is something that the U.S. has had going back to the Great Grain Robbery in the 1970s when the Russians came in and booked a bunch of wheat without everybody knowing. Since then, the U.S. has had its export sales reporting, again, with the exception of times during government shutdowns where it's not funded. But that type of transparency, I think, would serve Canadian farmers well. The grain trade may argue that we don't have the volume or liquidity in Canada to do it in a way that doesn't affect commercial interests. And there might be, I think there's got to be creative ways of doing it where you don't necessarily have to know which company made the sale, that type of thing. And so you could protect the interests of both sides and increase the transparency for the smallest players in the market.
Yeah.
Again, going back to economic theory, it makes a lot of sense to me.
And they still do like destination unknown like on certain stuff too, right? So yeah. It's the other thing that came out this week. I interviewed. I've been interviewing the Canadian Agricultural Hall of Fame inductees. Great class, awesome, and know a few of them very, very well. And then I've also got to meet some incredibly large figures in our industry. So yesterday, it hasn't come out yet, but I interviewed John Anderson from Oppenheimer. He's in the produce sector, and we're talking a global company based out of West Vancouver. And one of the things that from our discussion was the produce industry, so fruits and veg, they do have advocacy that is North American based because of the cross-border trade between Canada, Mexico, and the US. They have overarching organizations representing those commodities that do work with Ottawa or go to the White House on the behalf of the North American market. Curious if we ever see that. Now these are large companies, so it's maybe a little bit different than say ranching. And I'm just curious, Lyndsey, if we ever get to that point in some of the other agricultural commodities.
We do on machinery. Sorry, jumping in.
Yeah, machinery we do. That's a good point. Yeah, good one.
And I think, and like to that point, I think I would have to spend a bit of time, but it does, I think, lend itself in certain industries more than others. But I mean, it really does come down to the will of the organizations and the boards, the value proposition for everybody involved, and then communicating this as value to the membership, right? Like that's what it comes down to. And if you don't have the buy-in of your membership that there's a benefit to working collaboratively like that, then people get, they've got their turf war and they're going to like see their best interest through, which is understandable. But that doesn't mean, that someone can't come along and really make a strong case for being stronger together and that Fortress North America type idea. So
cattle industry, oilseed crush, biofuel. There's some example you can come up with.
Yeah.
And we do see more cooperation in those industries among the groups and regular meetings, and they know each other first name basis and are on the same page on issues, that type of thing. But I don't know, politically right now, it sure seems like this is less likely to happen than it was the last 20 years, I'd say.
And I will say we are challenged sometimes to just have provincial groups work together, let alone international ties.
May have more luck national groups cross border than provincial groups working together.
Yeah, potentially.
Hey, we got to take a break. We've got more coming up here on RealAg Radio right after this. The future of phosphorus fertilizers is Rhizazorb. Craig Dick, VP of Sales and Marketing for Phospholutions, explains.
Rhizazorb 8390 is a next-generation dry phosphate fertilizer that replaces MAP or DAP. Rhizazorb technology is incorporated into traditional phosphate manufacturing, resulting in a finished granule that enhances phosphorus uptake, reduces phosphorus use rates, and maintains crop yields.
Preserve yield, optimize phosphorus, and reduce costs with Rhizazorb.
I'm Lyndsey Smith, host of The Agronomist, and I want to thank you for tuning in for over 200 episodes of our beloved little program. Join me Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube for our live and interactive agronomy Q&A. Each week, our guest panel will handle some of your toughest agronomic questions live, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and RealAgriculture.com. Tune in Monday nights or go to RealAgriculture.com/agronomist and sign up for our email notifications and don't miss an episode.
One thing's for sure, because Game 6 is tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, there's going to be a lack of Halloween. I think trick-or-treating volume could be down, or it's going to start maybe in the afternoon. Like, this is going to be a very unusual kind of a night, Lyndsey.
Well, so for us in the Eastern time zone, this is our one benefit. We'll probably have a pretty regular Halloween. It might be cut short a little bit, so everybody's back in front of the TV. But for those of you further west, I have a feeling it will be trick-or-treating around the house, between the bathroom and the living room and the kitchen. And that'll be it.
Or just, here's the key, hey kids, here's the keys to the truck.
Yeah, go.
Stay within 5-mile radius of the house, the farm.
That's it.
Maybe not. Don't do that.
Maybe don't.
Do not
Maybe
take
don't.
advice from Shaun Haney on.
That's right.
Or I remember one year the kids were really small, and we went. You got a bunch of houses that you got to make sure you hit, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And colder than just now. You can't even see people's Halloween costumes. Everyone's in winter snowsuits. We're all dressed up like a bunch of snow sledders.
Yep.
Go to this place. They're like, "Hey, you got to come in for a drink." We didn't leave. So yeah, that was a real disappointment for the kids. We were not very good parents that night.
Poor
But
kids.
yeah.
I have a scenario dilemma for tonight.
Oh.
Well, let us help you. This is like a call-in
Yes.
show.
Here we go. Yeah.
Welcome
Okay.
to the.
You're on the air. You're on the air, Heppner.
So
Go ahead.
a good friend of mine. The last 2 years, my favorite hockey team has lost when I've been eliminated from the playoffs when I've been watching a game together with him.
Okay.
And so I thought last week, there's no real sense that who I hang out with here in Southern Manitoba impacts what happens in another city in a sporting event. Last week, I hung out with him the night that the Blue Jays lost to Yamamoto and the Dodgers.
Oh no!
And I'm invited to his house tonight to
You can't
help with trick-or-treating and watch the Jays game.
I have a friend that's been
over this.
Dude,
Or do
I have a friend that's been wearing the same underwear for 4 days.
The least you can do is stay home, Kelvin.
Go watch someone else, I guess, not with him.
Yeah. You can't go there.
Yeah, don't go there. Yeah,
Dear Kelvin's
he can
friend,
come to your place, but you
sorry.
can't use his TV is jinxed.
Yeah. No, you can't.
Yeah.
He can't even go to your house, Kelvin. You're going to have
Okay.
to stay home or go somewhere.
I got to go to
else.
town though because the trick or treating happens in
Doesn't
town.
matter.
Yeah, that's fine. But you.
I would maybe avoid his street. Period.
Yeah. Can you send me his number? I will text him and be like,
Okay.
"This is Lyndsey, and she says Kelvin can't go.
Okay.
He's busy."
I'll just send him this segment as reason I'm not showing up tonight.
And we apologize profusely, but this is very
Yeah.
important. And no, you can't, Kelvin.
My youngest son, who's at Bismarck State, he's like, Dad, I got a problem. A lot of the guys they're going to UND to a Halloween party. He's like, but I've watched all the games right here. I got to stay here. I'm like,
He's got to
you
stay.
know exactly your responsibility as a fan.
right.
You do not go to that party at UND.
No.
You stay right there. And
You do not shave off your very sad mustache. You do not change your socks. You do nothing different. You have the same snacks.
That's right.
Does everybody hear me? Consistency is key.
That is
So, Kelvin, absolutely not. You may not go to your friends. You're grounded.
Lyndsey, I think we were destined. This doesn't work out. We are destined to do like a self-help show where people call.
Would we? I think that's a great idea.
We would be quite good at this, I think.
We would give terrible life advice, and it would be
We would start
fantastic.
calling. We're like a
Yes.
Dr. John
Dave Ramsey.
Deloney kind of, we're like, do you remember the old days of Dr. Laura Lessinger?
Yes.
Love that
Could we also have a segment where we're like, it being Halloween, we could be like mediums where we like talk to the dead? I think that'd be great. Just like once in a while.
Seems like a very Halloween special right there.
It does. Yeah, that's what we would do. We would just suddenly become, Yeah. Okay.
This week in Toronto, there was other stuff happening.
What?
Yeah, Canadian Center for Food Integrity had the
Oh,
Trusted
yeah.
Food Summit. And I guess, Lyndsey, some of the Bernd Tobin from our team was there, very short on sleep because he stayed up all night till like 3:30 in the morning Eastern to watch that 18-inning game, and then at 5 o'clock left his house.
Yeah.
Bern's an animal.
He really is. He is so committed. Yeah.
His wife, Karen, even made her own Blue Jays home run jacket. Now, theirs being dedicated.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen.
The Center for Food Integrity put out their new Trust in Food numbers, and it looks like things are on the incline to the positive.
Right. And so, yes, and hats off to Bern for staying up to watch that 18-inning game and then going to do this. And when you listen to the interviews, he's actually quite coherent. So good job, Bern. But one of the things that really came out of, and so the Center for Food Integrity does this every year where they ask usually more than 2,000 Canadians a bunch of questions about how they feel about the direction of our food industry, who they trust in the food industry, where they get their info, all those sorts of things. And so we heard from Ashley Brunner, and things are looking up, and they're attributing that possibly to the whole Trump trade war, elbows up Canada sort of sense that there's this very pro-Canadian movement right now, and that Canadian food and the Canadian food industry is getting a bit of a bump from all that. So
okay, so just can I just?
Yeah,
I saw that. And I was curious. How does that trade battle increase the trust in Canadian food? I understand the preference for Canadian product, but why are people more trusting?
So I didn't make the report, so you would probably have to ask them because it's not that clear. But she does make parallels to what is interesting is last year the numbers were quite poor. And so it is this idea of being more pro-Canadian, wanting more Canadian food, trusting the Canadian system. And so is there a certain amount of emotional connection to this? Probably. But what they did measure was who is trusted for advice. And scientists actually got a bump this year. So there are some other things at play here. And so farmers always rate really high on the trust scale. But scientists actually got a bump in this latest one. So that could be, of course, around, the US and their, what is it? Health, what are
Make America health again? Healthy.
Yeah. So there might be some of that trickle down effect of, some people out there trying to get people to, trust the science and listen to valued voices. The one caveat, which I found really interesting and would like to know more about, is they did ask about, how many people fact check and verify information. It's a very low number. And it's a pretty disappointing number for anyone who really likes facts. And so not perfect. We got some work to do on that one.
What worries me a little bit coming off of last year's lower number, if those are the reasons that the trust is higher, that's short-lived. These are moments in time. Yeah.
Well, or 3 more years.
Kelvin, quickly, Bank of Canada lowering rates. Federal Reserve did as well. But from this point forward, it looks like we may see a little bit of a separation in the strategy.
Yeah, Bank of Canada is certainly sending the messaging that this could be the last decrease, that they would prefer to not have to make further cuts after this, whereas the market is expecting the U.S. Federal Reserve to likely continue with at least another decrease later this year and potentially into next year. So, yeah, we'll have to see. It was quite, I would say, stark messaging coming from Tiff Macklem at the Bank of Canada in terms of Canadians should be expecting a lower standard of living and that type of thing, that the trade war and tariffs are taking a toll on the Canadian economy and that capacity is declining. And we did see new GDP numbers today, and I think there was I just took a quick glance at the headline here, a negative number, slightly negative number, but they increased the August or the last month number, so it balanced out. But yeah, it's troubling times right now, and Bank of Canada certainly sent that message, I believe, in terms of expecting the economy to continue to slow down.
Yeah, so connect the dots for the whole elbows up crowd. We want Carney to not be so friendly. These are the repercussions if that's the track that Carney follows. The economic situation just gets worse. That's why Carney's being so aggressive on trying to.
It's not all about Carney though. It's about what Trump sees on TV in a commercial.
Yes,
100%.
That Doug Ford ran.
There's a lot more variability to or risk to it than the decisions and that's where I think Mark Carney has been taking the approach of trying to kiss. Whatever that type of kiss the ring. That's a better way of saying it. Yeah, that's the same. Right. He has been trying to, because I think he realizes that is in the better interest of the country, but not necessarily politically popular.
Yeah. I kind of still tend to think the commercials just use it as an excuse. Jacob Shapiro and I talked about this week on the front lines. If Canada's suggesting in August a 2-state solution on Palestine didn't create this kind of pushback, I think the commercial reaction's a little bit of a fake reaction in my opinion. Okay, we're out of time. We're going to have a quick bonus for those of you that are standing by on the RealAg podcast. But Kelvin, Lyndsey, enjoy the game tonight.
Go Jays.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Go Jays.
Okay, if you've got any feedback, call the RealAg feedback line, text it, 855-776-6147. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio. We will chat again next week. Go Jays, go. And we are in the bonus segment here on this October 31st, first day of 2025. And we'd even talk about Halloween, Lyndsey.
We hardly did. I would love to know everybody's favorite Halloween candy.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Hershey's cookies and cream.
Gross.
Oh, yeah.
Calvin.
Hershey's.
You can have all of them.
They are pretty good, though.
Exactly. I'll take all of them.
They are good.
Okay. I'm sending them to Kelvin. Okay.
I would say, I'm going to say in Canada we call them rockets. In the U.S. they call them Smarties.
Smarties, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Isn't it the other way around? Don't we
Wait.
call them Smarties in Canada?
No, we have Smarties in Canada.
Yeah, I think
Smarties are the no. I'm talking about they come in the little the clear.
Yeah, those are
plastic.
rockets.
They're rockets in Canada.
Gotcha.
In the U.S. they
Yeah,
call them Smarties.
Smarties.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
that's
I didn't
right.
know they were called that in the US.
Yes.
Yeah, Canadian Smarties are like the chocolate treat.
Yes.
Yeah.
More like an M&M with different chocolate.
Kind of. Yeah.
This is true. Yes.
My favorite are the caramel squares, like the ones with the clear wrapping, like the.
That's
crack-
Christmas. That's Christmas candy.
What are you
That's
talking about?
No, those are like icy squares. Those are Christmas candy. Come on. Anyway.
Pumpkin pie or no pumpkin pie? This time of the
Halloween?
year.
All the time. Apple pie and pumpkin pie is like a staple right now.
Does it carry through right through November and like into December?
Yes, all the way until Christmas, until you're sick of it, and then you may change to something else.
Interesting.
See, this is part of the call-in show.
It's one of those things that inflation, maybe like the $2 after Thanksgiving pumpkin pie on sale.
Good call.
I think it's still a thing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
go buy
I
them
can't
all,
remember
put
the
them in
number, so I
freezer.
can't quote it, but the amount of pumpkin pies that Costco sells in a day is like
Unbelievable.
staggering.
Yeah.
Staggering.
Unbelievable.
90% of pumpkin demand.
Yeah, well, I listened to a podcast about the declining, like the You Pick pumpkin patch, whatever, and that like this year with the drought, there was like really poor, and it's true, we tried to grow pumpkins, it didn't work this year. And so will we have local pumpkin? I just love how we made that into like a big deal. It's not a big deal. We will have pumpkins.
Will we have
pumpkins?
I don't think we have a shortage here. We've got there's a ton of kids that have been selling pumpkins the last month.
Nice.
Around here.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Really?
They're a lot of fun.
Is there a certain brand? Like, is there? I'm not sure I can.
There's a lot more variety than there used to be. You get all the
like there's-
decorative
Yeah,
types
there's
and
white ones and like pale orange ones and brown ones and green ones and and warty ones. Those ones.
I am. Look at this.
Uh-oh. What are you doing?
Can you see that pumpkin?
What?
So yeah. So for those
That is
watching on YouTube,
ridiculous.
so yeah, I was at the North Carolina State Fair
And
weeks ago.
so 1,573 pounds.
This is almost a 1,600 pound pumpkin.
Pumpkin. Did you know? Okay, and shout out to Joanna Wallace for getting me onto this. There is like a whole giant pumpkin subculture on like Instagram where there are like full accounts dedicated to growing these giant pumpkins. And do you know they like put like fans and tents and they manage the whole vine that it's on and the whole bit. It's unbelievable.
Look at this one.
So she told me about it, so then I had to look at some of it, and then for like a whole month, all my algorithm was giant pumpkin accounts.
Well,
so cool.
I think this was the number one.
Well, it's over 2,000 pounds.
2,244.5 pounds by Albert, I'm going to guess Rotaback,
Yeah, probably.
in North Carolina at the North Carolina State Fair.
Hats off to you, bud.
Look.
You know what I like though?
Crazy.
Is where is it in the Maritimes where they cut a hole in these and they make a boat race out of it? Because like, what do you do with these things after?
Roland. So down the road here, Roland
Oh,
Pumpkin Fair.
Yes, the giant pumpkin at Roland.
Charlie Burnstrom from Lancaster, Minnesota, won his 5th Roland Pumpkin contest this last couple weeks ago here. What was his number? I think his record is just over 2,000 pounds as well.
Yeah.
So, but cross-border entries here, and they use a crane and drop it, and they dropped it on a piano a couple weeks ago down the road here. So
Trust
it's one option.
somebody to be like, how do we smash this? Yeah, I like the cutting
and
a
you
hole
watch
in
it in
it.
slow motion, and
Yeah, I like cutting a hole
great
in
for
it.
social.
Trying to paddle across a lake. It's a great idea. Anyway,
I don't know. Yeah.
this podcast has taken a turn.
If I
Let me
would.
tell you.
Well, the question I was going to ask before we got to stories we didn't cover was,
Right.
and this is a big one, Lyndsey. Get ready. Okay. This is a
Okay.
question for
I'm stealing myself.
our self-help guest, Kelvin.
Who's grounded?
Kelvin, should this be Bucks last season?
Buck Martinez.
Yes,
Um,
it would be what a way to go out.
It would be.
He's been been with the team for decades. He's, of course, personally dealing with or dealt with health stuff all season. Yeah, I think these playoffs, that's been another aspect of these playoffs. It's just been perfect letting him have these moments, calling the game after his career and his dedication to the Blue Jays and going through what he has. We don't know his situation, but it wouldn't surprise me if this would be like an epic storybook ending to like you've got the Trey Savage story starting the year in Single A, working his way up to two starts in the World Series. You got Buck Martinez going through all of his. He missed good parts of the season seeking treatment for his condition down in Texas, I believe, and yeah, I think it would be appropriate.
The other part of this is why Dan Schulman came back. He wanted to
gets to talk with his son Ben.
Yeah, Ben's doing the radio call, who I think is actually, I was not a Ben Schulman fan when he first started, but I really think he does a good call now. I think he's really, really good. No surprise though, based on who his dad is. But that's why he came back. He wanted to, with ESPN, he was fleeting all around the country, never connected to a team. He wanted to be connected to a team, and obviously he'd worked for the Blue Jays previously, so. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the Blue Jays. I grew up listening to the radio. We didn't have a TV when I was a kid, and so we listened to the radio. We listened to 92 and 93 World Series on the radio with Tom Cheek and Jerry Howarth, and that made me want to work in radio in high school and that type of thing. And so that the Blue Jays radio connection to me goes back a long time, and so yeah, it's been special following the team this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of a radio loser as well. Where, I listen to most Chicago Bear games on the radio. Jeff
on the radio, yeah. This year too, we've been driving the girls to the hockey rink and listen to Ben Schulman and the call on the drive, and we often end up sitting in the vehicle when we get home and listening to the end of the inning and that type of thing. And that's there's still something about radio that and the theater of the mind for live sports.
Yep. Okay, Lyndsey. What did we not cover this week?
Okay, but I want to go back to this topic for just a moment.
Oh, go ahead.
To hear from both of you, do you think this season, regardless of how it ends up, but we all know it ends tonight with a win, will be a movie?
Oh, of some kind it will be.
One day.
I just hope it's not like a CBC made like a Canadian movie.
Well, starring
like Eugene Levy as
and Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Again, going back to 92 and 93, there have been books published about every inning of those playoff runs, and I think that thought has crossed my mind watching these playoffs too. I've told our girls wait. This moment, this start by Trey Savage will go down in.
But that's what I mean. Is like there's so many of these parts that are like they're so neat and so cool that like this is what movies are made of. So there will be one.
And we found this when the Raptors won the NBA championship. That Canada's very focused on hockey, of course, and a Stanley Cup victory in Canada would be like a big deal. Okay, and I'm not sure if the Leafs are ever going to do that, but one of the Canadian teams will do it
one day.
And on the global stage, it's still pretty small, right? It's just not that big of a deal from a global context. When you're talking about basketball, you're talking about baseball. Those are much more global in nature, and the amount of people watching is much bigger. It's just a bigger stage, and boy, the crowds, and I hope it continues through tonight. But the crowd has been fantastic. And it's just represented so well. Like the Scotia, like where the Leafs play, the Scotiabank Center, right, Kelvin? Is that what they call it? It's sold out. Yeah. It's full of people going to watch the Blue Jays game in the ice hockey arena.
And you've got very likely the greatest ball player of all time in Shohei Ohtani and his connections overseas and the massive amount of people. There's more people watching Dodgers games overseas than even in Canada because of Shohei Ohtani's popularity. And yeah, like you said, and you mentioned a NHL victory. None of those teams unite the country of Canada like the Blue Jays do when it comes to having only a single team. So of course it's much there's much more unity in terms of the bandwagon right now than there would be for any hockey team or Stanley Cup victory.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, Lyndsey, what did we miss?
Oh, crumb.
I got one.
Oh, okay, you go ahead.
Sea and Rail.
That's
Cutting
great.
staff and concerned about because of issues on tariffs and trade being restricted, is done some layoffs and seen a bit of a slowdown, cutting back some of its capital investment quite significantly, I believe, as well. Seeing a bit of a slowdown, which is that's not a good economic story at all.
No. Was I wrong though when I listened? So I listened to it. They are cutting back. I think it's like 400 or whatever it was.
400,
staff,
400 management level.
Management level. But also then they had like their earnings and they still made money. So
They did.
I get that it's slowing down, but let's not feel too bad for them. Anyway, it is just another indication though of where things are at and how things, like the longer all of this tariff and trade war stuff goes on, the broader and deeper the impacts, right? So it does certainly show that for sure.
Yeah. They posted a 5% rise in profit in the third quarter, while revenue rose by 1% to $4.2 billion from the same period a year ago. Profit for the 3 months ended on September 30th. It was $1.13 billion, or $1.83 a share. Okay. So yes, still making money, but as an economic indicator, not super positive going forward.
That's right.
Okay. What's yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, Bunge closed on the Northwest Terminals. Is that what it was called? Yep. So that came through. So we reported on that sale a couple months ago, but we did get word this week that it had closed. So all went well. So the distillery on site remains Northwest Terminals, but the elevator, the grain handling, will be Bunge's. Which does beg the question, what has Bunge unloaded? Still working on that one.
Yeah, there are the elevators in Manitoba and eastern Saskatchewan that Viterra Bunge is required to sell as part of the merger, and there are rumblings out there that some of those have changed hands or are in the process of changing hands, but we are still working on confirming that. It sounds like some potentially more local smaller grain companies are scooping up those assets, and I'm assuming that the price will probably be a pretty good deal on them.
Fire sale.
Fire sale? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's not. But, you know.
Hey, listen, look at yesterday. I don't have the earnings report in front of me, but FMC reported their earnings. Stock was down like 45% on the day's trade. We're a lot of focus in terms of farm profitability and some of the concerns out there, but there's a lot of concerns about industry profitability and trying to serve farmers. The farmers are not making money; they're not spending money, and I think we're gonna see a lot of some earnings report that come up from ag focused companies where it's like, ooh, that's not great, it's not shiny, this isn't the golden era, so to speak.
Agco, another one. Agco quarterly earnings out today. Equipment sales continue to be real rough.
Rough. Like, rough.
Especially on the bigger, more expensive pieces. Combines, high horsepower tractors, sprayers.
Yeah. I'm super fascinated by what Agritechnica's vibe is like. And we're not going to be, our team's not going to be there, but just I'm looking forward to that week to sort of follow up with people. And I would not expect a real sort of like, Kelvin, you think back to some of the years that we have been to that show and the hoopla and the money spent and here's where we're going in the future and here's our trajectory as it applies to technology. I think we're going to see a lot of a scale back this year where it's like, we're here, but we don't have like a technology tent that we've spent millions of dollars in pushing.
Yeah, likely. I expect that as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing from the people that are headed overseas to Germany for the show here in the next couple of weeks. And I think that will be maybe the show, one of the last. Well, every company has different strategies for marketing, but since that is kind of the big show for global agriculture, broadacre agriculture, it might be the last place that companies make cuts, but other companies may have a different strategy where they rather invest in smaller local regional shows than the big global one, because farmers, of course, don't all go to Germany. They're much more likely to go to their local shows. So yeah, interesting to see what the message and signals are from that.
I'm going to miss not being in Germany for the show, though. Like, I believe very, when I was at BSF's office in Raleigh there a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this, like, the German diet is actually quite narrow, but oh my goodness,
it's good.
It is very, very good. There's not a lot of variety. Thank God for meat and potatoes. If you're not into protein, and especially pork, wrong country for you to visit, especially if you don't like washing stuff down with a nice cold beer.
Yeah, I was going to say the beer, the carbs are also a key component.
Oh.
Yeah, Germans do food right.
The braised cabbage and those potato ball things. Have you guys ever had those? Oh my God. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
The soups
well
are
done,
good.
Germany.
Well done, Germany. I'll never forget 2015. Jay Strovey and I, Production Jay, we're there together, and we get into a cab one night, and the cabbie speaks no English. Turns on the radio, and it's the Scorpions just blaring, rock you like a hurricane. We're like, this is as Germany as it gets. Next, it'll be Rammstein playing Du Hast.
Was he wearing lederhosen?
He was not wearing.
It's only one part of Germany. Anyway,
he was not wearing it.
Yeah, that's too bad. Anyway, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And Agritrade's next week as well, which is kind of a sign that, hey, it's winter.
It's November tomorrow.
It is November tomorrow. That's right. Yep. We don't have a month that goes to the 32nd.
Okay, what?
You have
sometimes
to
depends if you're putting in winter wheat. Then sometimes there's like an October 45th. So
the crop insurance deadline.
Yeah, for
there's
crop
no crop
insurance
deadline.
No,
that is good.
Yeah. So there's that. It's also, I think, the time change this weekend.
It is, but it's a good one. Do we go fall back?
I know, but I just, generally speaking, guys, can we just do what Saskatchewan does and not change?
So my favorite thing, this is one of my favorite Lyndsey moments.
Oh God.
Lyndsey hates daylight savings. Okay,
so
like she has, like, I give her credit. She's been on this bandwagon
for a long time.
A long time. Okay. And I remember President Trump during the election was like, daylight savings gone. We're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
Then I think it was post-election where he was like, no, I looked at it, too controversial. We're not doing it. It was like, of all the things, that's the line in the sand.
This man finds too controversial the one thing that we could probably agree on, and he won't do it.
But I was talking to my dad about it the other day, and he's like, that'd be terrible if they got rid of it. I'm just like, why?
No.
Like, somehow Saskatchewan and the state of Arizona survive and thrive.
And a small area of BC. Fort St. John doesn't change either. But, like, come on. We don't need this, you guys. Anyway, the world would not end. And it's yes, I do remember that. When it's like the one thing he promised he'd do, and that's the thing he's going to backtrack on, is he's not. Anyway. So, yeah, everybody remember, set your clocks back this weekend.
An extra hour of sleep.
I'm still going to wake up at the same time. Let's be honest.
Tell the animals, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say the chickens are still going to expect
sheep.
To be fed.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
that is fair.
Anyway.
Well,
yeah. All right.
We got a busy, some work yet to do here to finish up our Friday. Mm-hmm. So appreciate everybody that's downloaded the RealAg Radio Podcast. We've done a really good job this week doing some bonus segments. We've had top ag news stories today throughout the week. And of course here today on the Insights panel. So we do appreciate you downloading RealAg Radio and all the other things that we do as well. Please check out our YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff over there. There's a great new RealAg Shops episode that is pretty darn sweet. And there's, what episode are we on? We're on, that'd be
12?
Oh, 12.
No, it's on 12. Yeah, it's 12. And one of my favorite things about the Shops episodes is how many shop cats make it into the final cut of these shop tours. And they're adorable. Go check them out.
There is the odd shop where we have to cut certain things out. We
always put the shop cat in.
Cat in.
Always.
Okay. Yeah. Other things, sometimes it's like, maybe for the benefit of everybody, we don't include that. But hey, it's a farm shop, so
Yeah.
You're going to have that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate everybody. Send us your feedback. shaney@realagriculture.com as well. You can, if you do need some life advice and you want Lyndsey and I to chime in on it, you can call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147, or text that same number. Enjoy Blue Jays baseball this weekend. Go Jays, go. And we'll chat with you again on Monday. Cheers, everybody.